Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome back to the Grand Boulevard Coalition Show. I'm joined today by my guest, Destiny Bryant. She was one of my good friends from Northeastern, and now we kind of work together in different organizations, but we're still very close in what we do and do very similar things. So I thought it would be really nice to have her on. Before I get into the questions with her, I did want to show a quick flyer. Today is HIV National Testing Day. So we have a QR code that I just wanted to quickly show. And when you scan that, it'll take you to our Healthy Living Padlet, which has a bunch of resources on there for free resources on where to get tested for HIV, clinics nearby, also clinics that work with people's insurances, depending on the insurance you have, along with a whole bunch of other resources on mental health, pride, people who are LGBTQ, since this month is also Pride Month. So we do have a bunch of stuff going on. This Sunday, really quick too, Healthy Living will be at the Pride Parade. We'll be there giving out information about the program, what we do, and hopefully, boosting our social medias while we're there as well. But yeah, so hopefully you all look forward to that and other things that we'll have coming up later next month as well. But I wanted to say hi to Destiny and also thank you for taking the time to be with me today. I really appreciate it. But yeah, we'll start off with the first question. So, where do you work and what do you do?
So I thank you for having me, Cynthia, CAN TV, Grand Boulevard Coalition, Healthy Living, our number one goal, Chicago Area Project. Thank you for having me. So I'm with Grand Boulevard Prevention Services, and my newest role. I'm the program director for the Washington Park Community Partners Coalition. So it's a DFC, Drug Free Communities Coalition, and it's through the CDC, and it's specifically based around youth substance use prevention, and we're focusing on the Washington Park community. We're basically working on getting together a whole bunch of different sectors in the community, businesses, different youth organizations, the youth themselves, of course, parents. We have Senator Maddie Hunter. She's been very involved. And we have the Washington Park Residents Advocacy Council. And we have the University of Chicago Fossil Lab involved. So we have some different sectors right now, and we're working on building it out. We're working on building a youth advisory council. And just in general, our main goal in my role is to work on disseminating information, workshops about different substances, specifically alcohol, opioids, and marijuana.
Okay, that's a lot. I know from the stuff that we've also talked about too, personally, like you are in charge of various amount of different things, like kind of like we were talking about yesterday, right? Like more in the macro area of like advocacy, but also like building relationships with other coalitions. So you're kind of in all of that, right? Kind of building those relationships and helping with that.
Yes. And I've been with Grand Boulevard Prevention Services for like 3 years now. And essentially in my previous roles, I did more, like you said, more micro level, more direct service type things. So this is definitely more macro, more organizational level, and definitely getting to work more on the community level. So many different words for the same thing, but yeah, just the community level type work, and just doing a lot of coordination, setting up meetings, and helping support the coalition itself is just my main role.
Okay. No, that's a lot though. I feel like it definitely, I mean, it's so important to be on that aspect. I feel like definitely my interest is, and we talked about it too, like more micro level, like one-on-ones and just being able to connect with the community, like the people that live there, going to events, things like that. Do you also go to events too for GBPS?
Yes. Most recently, we did this past Saturday. Was with Activists and the Washington Park Residents Advocacy Council. That was at the Washington Park Fieldhouse. So that's actually the Chicago Park District at Washington Park. Their superintendent there is Miss Collins, and essentially we Activists and them, they put that on. So we were there with the table for Grand Boulevard Prevention Services and to represent the coalition, and that was the Washington Park Fun Day.
Oh, nice.
So we are working on like going to more events in the community different programs with GBPS, they definitely go to different events and have different events.
Yes.
We are working on putting on another event later on this summer that'll be like sponsored by the coalition and all the partners, of course.
Okay.
So, but yes, we do events, and they're very exciting.
Yeah.
It's nice to get out there and see everybody, especially the youth, the families.
Yeah.
They have at the field house there, they have a really big pool. So it was a very hot day last Saturday.
That's
and everybody was in their swimming suits and just running around. They had bouncy houses.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. That's like a whole thing. Like that's what those kind of events that families want to go to, right? So just making it engaging for the families and the kids especially, right? Because we're trying to get the youth, right? Not just the parents, but doing things that engage them too, and also sharing, the things that you do that we're passionate about, and hopefully getting more kids involved in that kind of stuff, right? So that's really cool. So if you have any like other upcoming events, you can send me the flyers, so that way, like whenever I do a show here, we could just share them on here. So
absolutely,
yeah, that'll be nice.
Absolutely. I know offhand for August there's a save the date for Senator Maddie Hunter's annual fitness fair, health and fitness fair. It's going to be the 20th annual one, so that's 20 years. That's going to be at 35th and State off at IIT, basically, on their campus. And it's there every year. So definitely save the date and come on out if you're free. There's going to be a lot of different... I think Healthy Living's probably going to have a table too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
that'll be nice. So I think definitely as that date gets closer, I'll be sharing a flyer for that. In the next show that I do, because both of our programs will actually be there. So, and a whole bunch of others will be there too. There'll be free food, things for the kids, really, really useful resources around the city will be there, giving kids vaccinations and things that they need to get ready for the next school year, the upcoming school year. But yeah, that's really, really big stuff. And yeah, we have a lot of good things planned for the summer, so that's very exciting. But into our next question, more for you, Destiny. So what got you interested in social work? What was like your moment that you're like, yeah, I want to do this?
Yeah. Great question. So since I was a lot younger, I kind of went through a lot of stuff as a youth myself, and I always kind of knew I wanted to work with young people and just kind of be the person who, I wanted as a young adult. I was in some youth programming myself, and it was really beneficial. I had a mentor, and that was really helpful. So I kind of got inspired by that type of process. Just the first social worker I ever met was when I was a little kid too. Our family was involved with DCFS, and so we had a social worker assigned to the family, and I was a little kid, so I never really knew that social work was going to be the route that I went into. When I was really young, I wanted to be like an art teacher when I was a little kid, and then as I got older, it transitioned into like being a counselor for children, and I always thought that was going to be like the psychology route. But I had never really realized that as a social worker, now of course I know I went in the social work route, but that you can do therapy and so much more, just because social work takes the holistic, whole person approach, environment and the person. So I ended up going the social work route, and I really love it. I've met some really amazing people, and I got my bachelor's in social work, so I kind of, for my route academically at least, I got an associate's, then I got my bachelor's in social work, then I went and got my master's in social work, and I went to UAC like you. And so that's where I'm at today. And where we're working now, we started as interns, and just been pretty dedicated in the field and just in prevention in general. But social work kind of just came to me, and it's really been something that I love. And I'm very proud to be a social worker, and I know many great social workers, and people in general. But
in the field,
I really love that you can go into so much. You can go into research, you can go into direct services, the macro level, kind of like, and you can bounce around and do so many things. But for me, my main passion is working with youth. So you can work with youth, older adults, you can work with the elderly, you can work with the houseless population, just in anywhere you want to go, you can do it. So that's the thing that's most inspiring to me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's also something like you said that you've went through in your childhood, right? You've seen social workers, you've worked with social workers. So kind of like having them in your life, I feel like that's a lot of people, kind of share that too, right? Having people in social work in their life, whether it was in their homes or even at the schools, there's just so many, like you said, levels of social work that you can be in, that it's just like social work is just such an umbrella term. You can really be in any setting, hospitals, schools, working with so many different populations. So it's like the possibilities are endless. It feels like there's so much you can do, which I feel like that's a really good thing, just because if you're maybe, let's say, no longer interested in working with youth, then you can work with teenagers, adults, or even just choosing the different settings with kids that you want to be in one-on-one, like you said, therapy, or just out in the communities like you're doing right now too. So it's really nice to hear that. I feel like some of our other interns that we've worked with, like, it's crazy how we started as interns at Chicago Area Project, and then we got to get hired there, and now we kind of work with interns. So we're kind of passing that baton, I guess, if that makes sense, but just kind of working with other interns. Yeah, and just like hearing their stories too about other interns that share the same experience of like, oh yeah, they grew up with social workers in their home too, and they love seeing the social workers because of the impact that they made with their own families, right? So it's just really inspirational to hear. And then kind of you were already talking a little bit about your master's, going into getting your master's at UIC. How was your experience with that and your internship and everything?
Yeah, it was kind of, it's what you make it. So for me, I'm somebody who likes to stay busy. So in my master's program, I did my courses, my classes. But beyond like the social work department, I got involved with the Native American Support Program. Yes. I got involved with some different groups. I was the co-president for the Jane Addams Student Government. Yes. And let's see, I was involved with the Indigenous Graduate Student Association. Let's see what else. Sorry, a lot of us. But so just in general, the classes themselves, I really loved my professors. Several of them were really instrumental in just the quality of the education was amazing. Yeah. I think that sometimes with like the whole administration type thing, like the bureaucracy of just any type of institution or corporation, that was probably the biggest struggle. But making friends with other classmates, having supports, tapping into the different professors, connecting with in the social work department, just anybody who was there to support was so helpful. And having that time. The classes themselves, I learned so much. And one of my favorite classes was mental health issues with children and adolescents. That one was probably one of my toughest classes. Okay. It's the only one I got a B in, but it was I took a lot from it, especially since I'm really interested in like mental health in general. True. So, the education was pretty great. And just for social work, you want to, especially if you want to go into like getting your licensing and stuff, something important to look at. Whatever school you go to is an accredited institution. So that was one of the things that even with NEIU Northeastern, where I got my bachelor's, they're also an accredited institution for their bachelor's, and I believe for their master's now too.
Yes, just recently.
UIC is accredited, so there's different institutions that are accredited, so you want to go to those. Or, it's up to you to make your choice. But if you want to get licensing or go into different routes like therapeutic, you would want to do that.
Yeah, I like that. I like what you said too, like in the beginning, your experience at school, it's like, it's what you make of it. So you taking the time to actually join other organizations within the school, like not just going to school for classes, but being a part of the school and the school community at UIC, being able to just learn about what other organizations are going on, because these are things that you care about, that you're passionate about as a student, right? And that's the only way to get these experiences is as a student, right? So take advantage while you're at school to be a part of all these different things, because there's more to university life than just going to school, going to your classes, and then going home. at the end of the day, there's so many things, extracurriculars you can do, and just being a part of social movements and very impactful things that impact other incoming students too, right? There was a lot going on at UIC during that time, and it's really good. Like Destiny was also saying, going to a school that's accredited, making sure that they've been really good with their accreditation at the school. There's been some schools, from my intern's experiences talking about Chicago State University, they've kind of struggled a little bit with their accreditation. I don't know if you've heard a little bit about it, but they were able to keep their accreditation at the school. So just kind of doing your research, right? Making sure you know the school's history with the specific field that you want to go into. So that's very important. And I think that's really good advice to kind of share to incoming MSW students. And with the MSW program, you also did an internship, right? And how was your experience at the internship? Like, what's something that you learned? What did you do and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, absolutely. For my master's internship, I was with Lawndale Christian Legal Center.
Nice.
So they're located out of North Lawndale, and I really loved that internship. I did more case management and community involvement. They work with a lot of justice-impacted youth.
Nice.
So I worked with several justice-impacted youth. I had my own caseload, and I also got to shadow the restorative justice community courts, which there's 3 in Chicago.
Nice.
They're kind of like the pilot ones of the nation, really. North Lawndale for Chicago has the first one of the 3. There's one in Avondale and then in Englewood. And that was one of my favorite parts. I really am a big firm believer in restorative justice and restorative practices in general. With our current position with Grand Boulevard Prevention Services, we actually got to be trained circle keepers with Taproots.
Yes.
They're located on the west side of Chicago
Yes.
as well. But going back to that internship, it was very great. I got to just to be part of that and to see how impactful it is on the different clients, participants' lives, and having people who are very dedicated in that space. So for the master's program, I got my specialization, social work and justice systems.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I ended up there. I'm very passionate not only about working with youth, but justice-impacted youth. It's a very ostracized group. And just
For
like
sure.
with how everything is these days, I wanted to choose that route. So being at an internship that was really dedicated specifically to that population was very helpful. It really inspired me. And I'm still in contact with my supervisor from there to this day.
That's
I
awesome.
recently saw her at one of the first youth I worked with there. They invited both of us to their daughter's 2nd birthday. So
That's awesome.
just being able to stay connected with the participants and stuff that you work with and develop a relationship and be able to support them beyond programming is
That's so
really
true.
awesome.
Yes, and I feel like that also shows the impact that you made as someone, just like from being an intern, right? I know sometimes, like even internally within ourselves, we're like, oh, I'm just an intern, you know, like what impact can we make? Sometimes those questions come up, or the imposter syndrome comes up sometimes, right, as a student. But I feel like the fact that you've already graduated, has it been a year already since you graduated from your master's?
Yes,
Alright,
it was
yeah.
last May.
It's already been a year, and you still have those connections with your supervisor and with people that you were working clients, I guess, that you had, right? Clients that you had at your internship, and keeping those connections too. And the fact that they still reach out to you as well to update you on their lives, like, and they still want you to be a part of it. And I think that's awesome. So I feel like that really shows the impact that you've made yourself while at your internship experience. I feel like that's really important to acknowledge and to kind of just like keep that as like yeah, I did that, and like these people, you know, really saw my worth and saw the work that I did, and they care about it, and they care about you as a person and you as a professional in the social work field. I feel like that's really awesome. So that's a really good success story, you know, to share too, which I think is awesome. But yeah, okay. So now that you're done with your MSW program, you know, I know you've been talking about your PhD program that you've applied for. So what inspired you to apply for the PhD program?
Well, it took a lot of debating. So for the PhD, I'm going to be going back to UIC. It was kind of a rigorous process to apply, but the actual inspiration behind it, actually in our internship with Chicago Area Project, because it was during the whole COVID phase, I got to assist on like developing a community needs assessment, and that's kind of where I first got involved in like the research side and just looking at data, and really it's going to be a research-based focus PhD in social work program, and I am really excited for that. So I'm excited for the research component, but also the teaching component. I really want to go into being a professor, teaching in the social work field, and just social sciences in general. But those two are really big motivations for me. Some of my interest areas is basically with support systems, communal, individual, familial, so looking at that, trauma, mental health, substance use, of course, that's the line of work I'm in now, generational stuff, so I haven't started it yet, I'll be starting in the fall, but just in general, I am really excited to be starting that program. I actually applied right out of getting my master's. You apply while you're still in the program, and I did not get in. And then I reapplied. I applied to a few different schools, and out of all of them, I just got into the one, to UIC. So I was just happy to get into one. I was interested in, multiple different opportunities for the PhD programs, but I knew I wanted to stick with social work. And overall, I'm very excited and ready. Sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking. It is going to be more, mathematical, more statistics-based.
That's true.
We'll be looking at, like, qualitative, quantitative data and really developing your own research study yourself, creating the thesis and everything. So having an advisor and just having support in the social work department there is going to be really instrumental in my success, but also all the other incoming and current PhD students' success. And I'm also going back to the whole firm believer type things. I'm a firm believer in, you can do anything you want to. So for me, when the idea kind of popped in my head, and this it goes for my bachelor's, my master's, the PhD, it all just was like, oh, let me do my research and look into how to do it. And I was like, wow, it's possible. And also, it's really important for representation, I believe. For me, I'm Native American Navajo, Pacific Islander, Samoan, and then white. But so just in general, like just to have representation in these spaces, when you talk about percents and stuff, we're the very small. So it's like, small. It's amazing to be able to be in those spaces, and as somebody who's just of mixed background, like to be able to represent, I guess, technically 3 different groups. But so that's important to me too. Sometimes it can be hard with the whole higher education thing, because for me, for example, just being like first generation, my mom did get her associates, but beyond that, it's hard when you have to do all the research and legwork to figure out where you want to go, what you want to do yourself. But it is possible, and there's people like us, for example, that could help support that. For me, I had a lot of support from different professors and other classmates, and just encouragement, and having people in your circle who believe in you has been crucial.
Getting just feeling uplifted and supported from professors that we had, especially at Northeastern. I feel like that's where I had found so many good supports, and we had even if it was during COVID, our professors, especially Professor Kim, her and many other professors were very just helpful and inspirational to us, to encourage us to get higher education, to encourage us to advocate for ourselves, even if we don't choose higher education, just advocating for ourselves in our future careers, right? Just like knowing when is the time to reach out to your boss and ask for a raise and things like that, like just very real world help that we were going to need once we graduated from getting our bachelor's. And I think that's really exciting, just all the things that you're looking forward to for the PhD program. There's so much that's going to be required of you, but I feel like you are such a hard worker. From what I know about you, you always work so hard. Literally, the way that me and Destiny became friends, by the way, I just want to shout out Destiny, just always reaching out to people and just being a people person. The way we met was we had a class together, but it was during COVID, so it was Zooms and webinars and stuff like that. And she had emailed me because she said, oh, we're in the same internship. And I was like, oh, yeah, we are. So ever since then, we've just been reaching out to each other and texting each other and just supporting each other, too, through our internship process and now in our careers, supporting each other still, which I hope inspires other people, too, right, to just make connections with people in the field that you're working in your social work masters, especially for those who are interested in getting their social work masters, bachelors, or whatever the case may be. Kind of just looking for people that are going to be there to support you, finding those supports. But yeah, I think it's really exciting to hear that. I think really quickly, if you wanted to share, what's like your I think this might be a big question, but I mean, what's your like ideal social work career look like? This might be a really big question, but.
Yeah, so I just wanted to leave everybody with, like, anything that you want to do, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that does look like balancing doing research, but also continuing to work in the organizational and direct service level. So I kind of want to be in all of it.
Yeah.
So for me, I do want to do teaching. I want to do research. And sometimes people will just commit to only doing that, which is a lot to handle. But I also want to, work on founding a nonprofit as well. And, yeah, there's a lot of things. So the sky is the limit. And I believe that for me. I believe that for you. I believe that for all of us. And I just want to tell everyone that, we believe in you and you can do anything.
Yes.
You can overcome anything. We've all gone through a lot in life and will. So just keep pushing and you got it. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining. I hope you all enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll be back next month, and I hope you all look forward to that. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and we will talk soon. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.